सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यस्य कृपाकटाक्षाभ्यां शुभं सर्वं प्रवर्तते दयाराशिं दयानन्दं वन्देऽहं सादरं मुदा. My namaskaram to all of you who are attending this concluding session of Global Festival of Oneness organized by Indica Moksha. I like the name, it's a nice name. I congratulate Indica Moksha for organizing such a wonderful program in a very systematic manner. We will contemplate upon the word moksha. Moksha word is derived from moksha dhatu in Sanskrit, moksha, mochane. So moksha means freedom. There are many words used to translate this word moksha: liberation, salvation. But generally we prefer to use the word freedom. So moksha means freedom. And freedom is a relative word, because whenever you use the word freedom, it is expected to clarify freedom from what. In general, we can say freedom from something which was considered to be bondage. And what is bondage? Different people will look upon different people, different situations, different objects as bondage. When we were small, that time study was looked upon as bondage. We wanted to get rid of this study, waiting for going to play. Some people look upon the job as bondage. They are not enjoying, but they cannot get out of it. So job may be bondage. For some people, marriage life, troubled marriage, is looked upon as bondage. So for different people, different situations, different objects are seen to be bondage. But if you observe, whatever is considered to be bondage by people in a given situation, even if one becomes free from that, the person does not become completely free. He will find something else to be bondage. So if we define what is bondage, in general, bondage is something that you do not want to have, but you find yourself with that situation or that object. So what you do not want, but what you find yourself with, that is called bondage. And if we analyze, we find that fundamentally bondage is the sense of limitation. I am seeing myself to be limited, a wanting person, and thereby I am not acceptable to myself. So this bondage is in the form of non-acceptance of oneself based on the sense of limitation, based on being a wanting person all the time, or finding oneself to be helpless and therefore I am not acceptable to myself. So non-acceptance of oneself based on sense of limitation is the bondage. This bondage is not centered on, this sense of bondage is not centered on the body. It is not centered on the sense organs. It is centered on I. I am bound. I am non-acceptable to myself. I am feeling limited all the time. So this bondage is a sense of limitation centered on I. If that is so, then what will be freedom? How will I be free from bondage? It will be possible when I see myself completely acceptable. And I will see myself to be completely acceptable when I see myself free from limitations. My sense of limitation can go when I become free from limitations. I attain limitlessness. And that is what really everybody is seeking. But not knowing this fact, people seek acceptance of oneself through different achievements, through breaking records. But nothing gives what one is seeking in one's life, and that is freedom from this sense of limitation. And that will be possible when I get limitless. And generally, we adopt one particular means for getting what we want in our life, and that is action. But action, even though it gives some result, but whatever result we get will be limited. Why? Because action itself is limited, and limited action can give only limited result. And I, as a limited person with limited result, will not become a limitless person. Limited plus limited will be limited only. And therefore, any amount of karma, any amount of achievement in life, I do not become completely acceptable to myself, as I do not find myself to be free from sense of limitation. And this desire to be free from sense of limitation is not something which we can give up, because it is a natural desire, and that alone is we are seeking in our life. Nothing else can give us satisfaction. And in such situation, Shastra draws our attention to a possibility. And that is, Shastra says, what you are seeking is yourself. You are what you are seeking in your life. You are seeking peace, you are peace. You are seeking happiness, you are happiness. You are fullness. You are seeking security, you are the meaning, the ultimate meaning of the word security. You are seeking satisfaction, you are the ultimate meaning of satisfaction. So, you are what you are seeking in your life. Then the question would be, if I am what I am seeking in my life, then why am I seeking? I should not seek what I already am. For that, our Shastra gives the answer that it is because of ignorance and ignorance-born mistakes I seek what really I am. Even though I am Ananda, but I am seeking Ananda because I do not know really I am Ananda. How I am Ananda, that I do not know, and therefore I am seeking. Like in Shastra, they gave the story of a 10th man. 10th man is not away from the 10th man, but 10th man is seeking the 10th man because he does not know that he is the 10th man. So ignorance can cause this type of situation, that something is not away from me, but still I may be seeking the same thing. Thus, ignorance is the cause for the bondage I am experiencing in my life. And when ignorance is the cause for the bondage, what can be the solution? Only knowledge can be the solution. When darkness is the cause for problem, light is the solution. Similarly, when ignorance is the cause for the problem, then knowledge alone can be the solution. No other possibility is there. This clarity that everybody is really seeking freedom. I am seeking freedom from this bondage in the form of sense of limitation, and this bondage is because of ignorance, and ignorance can go by knowledge. Therefore, if I want to be free from bondage, I need knowledge. I would like to have the knowledge of myself and discover how I am free, how I am limitless. And thus, a seeker of freedom becomes seeker of knowledge. This is a big conversion from mumuksha, the desire for freedom, to jignasa, the desire for knowledge. And this is also called Purushartha Nishchayaha. Pujya Swami ji, Dayananda Saraswati ji used to use this word, that Purushartha Nishchaya, ascertainment of what one is seeking and how it can be achieved, is very important for a seeker of freedom. And when this conversion has happened, when I, Mumukshu, have become a Jignasu, a seeker of knowledge, then the next question would be, how to get this knowledge? The knowledge of myself. And for that, our acharyas, our shastras say, any knowledge is by using the means of knowledge. And here, in the case of self-knowledge, perception will not work, because it is the knowledge of the one who is perceiving, who is behind the perceiver. And therefore sense organs or perception will not be useful here. And perception based inference etc. also will not work. And therefore only means of knowledge available is Shabda Pramanam, the means of knowledge in the form of words, and that too the words of scriptures, words of Vedanta. It is said in Vedanta Sara, Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is called Upanishad, which is the means of knowledge. So Vedanta is neither theory, Vedanta is neither practice, it is a means of knowledge. And to get the knowledge about myself, I expose myself to, I study this Upanishad. But these Upanishads cannot be studied by oneself, because the language of Upanishad is paradoxical, because the subject matter is such, it is not a particular object in this world, and therefore the language of Upanishad is paradoxical. Tadejati tannejati, it moves, it does not move. It is very much near, it is very far off. And if I try to study by myself, I will not be able to get the vision, which Shastra wants to give, what Shastra is meant for. And therefore, Shastra itself suggests tad vijnanartham gurumeva bigachet. For knowing this limitless self called Brahma, one should go to the teacher with proper attitude. And of course, the study of Shastra with the help of the teacher called Guru will be effective when I as a person have got necessary qualifications. These qualifications are presented in Shastra in different ways. Chitta Shuddhi, purity of the mind, and Chitta Naishalyam, the steadiness of the mind, or a popular way of presenting this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, a popular way of presenting this qualification is sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, means having this fourfold qualifications: viveka, the discrimination between nitya and anitya, permanent and impermanent; vairagyam, this dispassion; shama, dama, mastery over the mind, mastery over the organs; uparama, withdrawal from unnecessary activities; titiksha, shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, this objective acceptance of pairs of opposite; then shraddha, the sense of validity in the words of scriptures and the teacher; and samadhanam, the capacity to focus, concentration. These six put together become the third qualification, and the last one is mumukshutvam, the intense desire for freedom. These four make me a person qualified for listening to the scripture from the teacher effectively. If I do not have this sadhana, then initial shravanam will be utilized for making me qualified. Ideally, I get this qualification in sufficient measure by the life of Karma Yoga and Upasana. Karma Yoga is doing the karma with proper attitude, receiving the result with proper attitude, that is Karma Yoga. And Upasana means meditation on the Lord in various ways. So by this Karma Yoga and Upasana means leading a prayerful life, one gets necessary sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, and thereafter when he studies from the scripture with the help of teacher, then he or she gets the vision. And this sadhana of studying the scripture from the teacher with necessary qualification is called Shravanam. And by this Shravanam, I get the vision about myself, how Shastra looks upon me. Shastra is a pramanam, and how pramana looks upon me. So far I was having the idea about myself as a fat, lean, sad, happy, unhappy. All these conclusions I had, and Shastra knocks off those conclusions by helping me to do this Atma Anatma Viveka, discrimination between what really I am and what I am not, and makes me discover that I am not this body, I am not limited to this body, I am not limited to these sense organs, I am not limited to the mind. The limitations of the body are not my limitations. Limitations of the sense organs are not my limitations. Limitations of the mind are not my limitations. I am the witness of all of them. I am consciousness, pervading this body, pervading these sense organs, pervading this mind, but not limited by this body mind sense complex. I am present in all. I am consciousness not limited by all of them. And what about the world? The world is created from Brahma. Brahman, the existence, Sad Brahma, is the cause of this world. And the world, being the effect of this Sad Brahma, it is non-separate from Sad Brahma, called Ishvara. And thus the world is seen as Sad Brahma, as Ishvara. And then final teaching is that Brahman, which is existence, and you, who is essentially consciousness, are one and the same. Tat Tvam Asi. You, consciousness, are one with that Sad Brahma, which is the Adhishthanam, the essence of the entire universe. So the vision of Shruti is, all that is here is Brahma, and that Brahman you are. Tattvamasi. And when I get this vision, then I become free from the sense of limitation. I continue to live in this body, but the limitations of the body are not my limitations. I continue with the same mind, but the limitations of the mind are not my limitations. And I discover freedom as my true nature. This is what the Shravanam does. Many people have this question that to know this self which is supposed to be within, why should we study outside Shastra? How outside Shastra can give us the knowledge of the self which is within? For them, we give this counter question. If you want to see your face, what do? You use a mirror. Mirror is outside the face, but mirror gives you the knowledge of the face. Similarly, Shastras are like mirrors, and they give me the vision about myself. And by this vision, I become free from this sense of limitations, self non-acceptance. And in case some people, in fact most of the people will have some doubts regarding the vision about myself given by the Shastra. And for them, the sadhana of Mananam is talked about. In Mananam, we use this reasoning, Shruti-based reasoning, to remove the doubts regarding the vision about myself, about the world given by the Shruti. And thereby my doubts are resolved, and I get conviction that all that is here is Brahma, that Brahman I am. It will not be this vision of Shruti anymore. It is not the Shastra says I am Brahman. I see for myself, I am Brahman. It is my own conviction. And after this conviction, which is a cognitive change about looking upon myself, still there can be this problem of habitual error, which is called Viparita Bhavana, and that is removed by the sadhana of Nididhyasanam, where I bring in this teaching of Shastra again and again and neutralize my wrong conclusions about myself, that I am limited, I am samsari, I am a karta, I am a bhokta. And this Nididhyasanam is done in two ways. One is Samadhi Abhyasa Rupa Nididhyasanam, where I sit in a particular position and withdraw the sense organs and regulate the prana, withdraw the mind and repeat this vision again and again, so that it is assimilated and habitual error is neutralized. So that this vision is free from the obstacle of the samshaya and viparita bhavana. And this samshaya viparita bhavana rahita aparoksha jnanam, I am Brahma, is called sakshatkaraha. So sakshatkara is not a mystical experience. Sakshatkaraha is immediate knowledge, direct knowledge about myself being Brahman, without any samshaya, doubt, and any habitual error. This is otherwise called jnana nishtha sthita prajna. And this makes me completely free from this bondage, which is notional. Shankaracharya ji in Mandukya Karika Sangati Bhashyam very nicely talks about what is the prayojana of Shastra, what is this moksha. He says, Rogartasya iva roga nivruttau swasthata. And then, Tadvat dukkhatmakasya atmanah dvaita prapanchopashame swasthata advaita bhavaha prayojanam. So he compares this freedom, moksha, with the swasthata of a person who was afflicted with some disease. When a person had some disease and he takes medicine and his disease goes away, then what he gains is swasthata, health. And health is a natural condition of that person. Similarly, moksha is not a new achievement coming from outside. It is not an extraneous situation happening to Atma. It is just abiding in one's own true nature, which is fullness. And this moksha, as we saw, is by Atmak Dhanam. Bodhaha bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi na sakshat moksha sadhanam. This bodha alone is sakshat moksha sadhanam. Compared to all other sadhana, this wisdom with this samshaya viparyaya nivrutti alone is the sadhanam for moksha. And this is by Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. So the vision of Shruti, the vision of Shastra about the moksha is, prepare yourself with Karma Yoga and Upasana. Means by Karma Yoga and Upasana you get necessary qualifications called Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti. Then go to the teacher, do Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasanam. Means get the vision of Shruti, be free from the doubts about the vision, be free from habitual error. So this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam will give you Pratibandha Rahita Aparoksha Jnanam, called Jnana Nishtha. And by that Jnana Nishtha or Nishtha Sahita Jnanam, you discover yourself to be free. So the vision of Shastra is prepare by Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, get the Jnanam by Jnana Yoga consisting of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam, and by Jnanam you become free. Literally speaking, you not become free, you discover yourself to be free. So this is how Shastra, our Sampradaya, looks upon the pursuit of knowledge as the means for moksha. If this clarity is there, then you will not be lost, you will not be distracted by any other sadhana as the direct means for moksha. Many people will say, this particular yoga will give moksha directly, Nada Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Prema Yoga, and some Swami said that Rudana Yoga. Just you keep on crying, you will get moksha. So, all these funny ideas will not appeal to you, will not distract you from the pursuit if you have this clarity that Jnanam is the means for moksha, and Jnanam is by Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam with necessary preparations. Now, what are the challenges in this pursuit? So far, what we saw is that pursuit of knowledge is the means for getting Jnanam, which is the means for moksha. What are the challenges? One challenge is nowadays people do not have readiness to lead religious life which prepares the person for effective pursuit of Jnanam. So the first challenge or first obstacle is not having the readiness to lead this religious life, the life prescribed by our Shastra, prayerful life, and because of that they are not sufficiently prepared. And therefore, even though they go to Shastra out of some curiosity for intellectual stimulation, they do not get benefit. And then they will blame Shastra. That see, I studied Shastra for so many years, I did not get this promised land of moksha. So this is the first challenge, where people want to bypass this religious life, the content of Karma Kandaha, Veda Purva Bhagaha. In fact, nowadays a group is coming up, they call themselves as spiritual but not religious. And they consider themselves to be a little superior than the regular ones. But it is a very unfortunate way of thinking. So, one needs to have necessary preparatory sadhana so that the pursuit of knowledge will be effective. So, first challenge is trying to bypass the religious life. Second is, nowadays because of the overemphasis on individuality, the Shraddha in the Shastra, Shraddha in the Acharya is so much reduced, missing or not sufficient. And because of that, not having that Pramanya Buddhi, which is called Shraddha, this Shastra is not able to deliver the vision effectively. In olden days, people used to lead the life based on the prescription, suggestion given by the Vedas, Veda Purva Bhaga, and that itself would take care of Shraddha aspect. Veda Purva Bhage Shraddha Asti. When Shraddha is there in Veda Purva Bhaga, then it will not be difficult to have Shraddha in Veda Anta Bhaga. But since that type of lifestyle is missing in most cases, and therefore Shraddha in Vedanta, Shraddha in the Guru Vakya is reduced. Shraddha does not mean blind faith, blind acceptance, stopping our buddhi to think. That is not Shraddha. Shraddha means looking upon the means of knowledge as means of knowledge, allowing the means of knowledge to do its job. Like I look upon the eyes as the means of knowledge, so I allow the eyes to work as means of knowledge. That is what Shraddha is, and that is missing in many cases. Another challenge or another obstacle people have is they have many gurus at a time. They listen to many gurus at a time, thinking that many, the more is merrier. But every time it is not so. It is something like, for good married life, a good husband, one good husband is good enough. It doesn't mean you have 5 husbands, so you will have better married life. So at a time, being exposed to many teachers, especially in initial stage, is becoming an obstacle, because the pursuit of knowledge is like making a sculpture by a sculptor, and if at a time many sculptors are working on one stone, then a good sculpture will not come out. Therefore, at a time it is advisable to listen to one teacher as the main teacher. Yes, once in a while nothing wrong in listening to the other teacher, but for some time, say 1 year, in Shiva Samhita it is said, for 1 year you listen to one teacher as your main teacher, and guide yourself, allow yourself to be guided by the teaching of that vision, teaching of the teacher. Otherwise, being exposed to many teachers at a time, morning this, afternoon this, evening this, and that can have the what is called obstructive effect. It can become an obstacle. Another one is lot of distractions caused by the social media, internet browsing, etc. So now the avenues for distraction, the means for distraction, the causes for distractions are increased, and therefore focused study is not available. And in most cases, the mumuksha is not intense. And sometimes even though mumuksha is intense, but mumuksha is not fully converted into jignasa, means intense desire for knowledge as the means for moksha is not there. Therefore, person will be trying this study of Shastra for some time, and then that gets distracted by some other means, thinking that this will not give moksha, something else will give moksha, something else will give moksha. So, the Purushartha Nishchaya, the clarity about the goal and the means is not there. And therefore also, the pursuit of knowledge is not becoming effective. And of course, Vairagyam is lacking in most cases, and because of that also the pursuit does not become so effective. And therefore, what is the solution? Solution is try to bring the prayerful activities called religious life, and have the prayerfulness, prayerful activities and prayerful attitude. That is very important for getting sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. And also, prayerful activities and contributory activities are very important for attaining the grace of the Lord, which is otherwise called punyam. All this will make us qualified, and it will make our pursuit of self-knowledge very effective, free from obstacles. And as far as possible, have someone as your spiritual guide. it is necessary for very long time. Nowadays people are afraid of surrendering to some spiritual guide, and their fear is understandable, because in many cases there is exploitation, and therefore you need to be careful. Your being careful is understandable, justifiable. But by chance you get someone whom you can trust, that person is trustworthy, then let your ego not come in the way to accept the guidance of your guru or the spiritual guide. And as it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. In the pursuit of knowledge, regularity, constancy is very important. Some people get some mood for study for some time, and they study for very long time during that period and then give up, and after few months again they start. That will not give so much benefit. Therefore, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in the 13th chapter, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. Let there be study of the Shastra or contemplation upon the scripture, the vision of the scripture regularly. And one more thing Bhagavan Sri Krishna says there is Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Keep seeing the purpose of this Tattva Jnanam, knowledge of the truth, knowledge of oneself. And what is the Artha? Moksha is the Artha. Keep seeing that this knowledge alone is going to make me free from the bondage of samsara. So we don't look upon the pursuit of knowledge as academic pursuit. That clarity that this pursuit of knowledge is meant for moksha should be kept all the time in mind. That is why when we give advertisement for our course, we write this, that focus will be on inner growth and the vision of Vedanta, and not on academic excellence. It doesn't mean that we don't study Shastra thoroughly. We study Shastra thoroughly, we don't study superficially. But our focus or goal is not to have academic excellence. Academic excellence will make you scholarly samsari. Earlier you were that uninformed samsari, now you will become informed scholarly samsari. Samsari scholar. So, pursuit of knowledge needs to be, one needs to remember that it is for moksha and not for ego satisfaction, not for showing off, not for becoming a popular teacher. In fact, one of the obstacles is nowadays that people do not want to remain a student for sufficient length of time. They have got eagerness to become a teacher, and online classes are helping them also. So, let us not have anxiety to become a teacher. Let us spend sufficient time to be a student, remaining as a student, studying Shastra well. And when we have studied well, then by the grace, by the suggestion of the teacher, we start teaching. And this teaching also is not for impressing others or earning money, making a career out of it. That is a wrong approach towards the Shastra, towards this pursuit of knowledge. So let us remain as student for sufficient length of time. rather than having this anxiety to become teacher as early as possible. We always tell during every course that the study of Shastra is not meant for becoming a teacher. Yes, study of Shastra will help you to become a teacher, but it is not meant for becoming a teacher. Becoming teacher is not the goal of a seeker of freedom. Because for moksha, becoming a teacher is not prescribed as the means. Having the vision of myself being limitless Brahman, that is the means, and not becoming a teacher. At the same time, we do encourage people teaching when they are ready, because teaching will help the person to share, teaching will help the person to remain in touch with Shastra. But teaching should be done only for that purpose and not for ego satisfaction or making a career out of it. Otherwise, this becoming a teacher itself becomes an obstacle. And one more thing which is useful in the pursuit of knowledge is having lot of reverence for the scriptures, lot of reverence for our teachers, lot of reverence for our sampradaya, parampara, and having lot of gratitude to the scriptures, lot of gratitude to our teachers, our sampradaya, which is started with Lord Dakshinamurti, Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. So to that parampara, let there be gratitude. And gratitude to all the factors which have contributed to our pursuit of knowledge. In our Shastra, there is a beautiful shloka which says, Ajivanam Trayasevyaha Vedanto Gururishwaraha Adau Gnanaptaye Paschat Kritagnatva Nivruttaye. Whole life, these three remains worthy of your respect, worthy of your salutation. What are they? Vedantaha, Shastra. Even after getting the knowledge, we do not look down upon the scriptures. We do not talk about the scriptures in a loose manner. And teachers, Guru, even after getting the knowledge, even though we think we have got the knowledge, at the same time our gratitude, our respect for the teacher remains. If it doesn't remain, it means that person has not got the vision. And Ishvaraha, the Lord. And therefore, with this attitude of gratitude, attitude of reverence, Shraddha, we pursue this knowledge. Then we get this vision about myself. And this vision makes me free. And freedom is my nature. I discover I was ever free. Nitya Muktaha Asmi. That vision I get. I wish all the best in your pursuit of self-knowledge, which is the means for moksha. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti.